They thought she was finished. For 3 straight days, Natalie Reed sat in a Boston courtroom and watched her billionaire ex-husband and his attorney tear her life apart piece by piece. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She didn't react when they called her unstable, unfit, even dangerous. The jury looked at her with pity. The media had already decided who she was. Even her own lawyer begged her to fight back. But Natalie just sat there, hands folded, eyes forward, counting time. She wasn't quiet because she was scared. She was quiet because she was waiting for one question, one moment that would bring Marcus Reed's empire down. And when Judge Patricia Brennan finally asked it, the answer didn't just end a marriage. It exposed secrets that would send a billionaire to federal prison. For 10 years, Natalie had been collecting the truth in silence. And now it was about to come out. What was she hiding? And how did a woman with no money take down one of the most powerful men in Boston? You're about to find out. Before we continue, let me ask you something. Where in the world are you watching from? Comment below. We'd love to know how far these stories travel. And don't forget to like and subscribe. If stories about justice, revenge, and people who refuse to stay quiet matter to you, then you're in the right place. Now let's get into it. Courtroom 6D of Suffolk County Family Court was quiet in a way that made everyone tense. Rain tapped against the windows as Natalie sat at the defendant's table in a plain gray dress she'd bought on clearance. Her hair was pulled back. She looked tired. Not frantic, just worn down. The kind of tired that comes from carrying too much for too long. Her hands rested on the table, perfectly still. She'd learned that staying still made people underestimate her. Across the aisle, Marcus Reed adjusted his cuffs. At 44, he still looked like the man magazines loved to photograph. Sharp jaw, perfect suit, calm smile. He looked like someone who expected to win. Next to him sat Roland Fisher, his lawyer. People called him the cleaner because when he was done, there was nothing left of the other side. Behind Marcus sat Sloane Harper, 26, social media influencer, dressed perfectly. She held her purse tightly, wearing an expression that suggested sympathy, or at least something close to it. Judge Patricia Brennan watched everything from the bench. She'd seen every trick in the book and wasn't impressed easily. Roland Fisher stood and addressed the court. "Your Honor, the facts are simple. My client has provided stability, resources, and structure for his children. He has the means and the discipline to give them the life they deserve." He walked slowly as he spoke. Mrs. Reed, however, has shown a history of emotional instability. We've heard from staff. We've reviewed evaluations. The conclusion is unavoidable. She is not in a position to provide a healthy environment for these children. Natalie's lawyer, Amy Chen, sat beside her, exhausted. Amy was young, overworked, and knew they were losing. She leaned close and whispered, "You have to give me something. We're losing everything." Natalie didn't look at her. "Not yet. Not yet," Amy whispered. "There is no time." "Wait for the finances," Natalie said quietly. Later that afternoon, Marcus took the stand. He spoke smoothly, like he'd practiced every word. "My finances have taken a hit," he said. "Most of my wealth is tied up in company stock that won't vest for years. My liquid assets are limited." He glanced at Natalie. "I've offered support. $3,500 a month. That's fair, given the situation." It wasn't. It wouldn't even cover rent where their kids went to school. "And the offshore accounts?" Roland asked. Marcus laughed. "Completely false. I pay my taxes. I'm transparent." Natalie has always had an active imagination. Judge Brennan made notes, then looked at Natalie's side. Cross-examination. Amy stood, then froze as Natalie grabbed her wrist. "No." Judge Brennan frowned. "Mrs. Reed." Natalie stood. She wasn't tall, but the room shifted anyway. "I'd like to speak about the finances." Roland laughed. "Your Honor, she has counsel." "I know," the judge said. "Go ahead, Mrs. Reed." Natalie looked at Marcus. Before I was a wife and a mother, I had a career. One Mr. Reed seems to have forgotten. Marcus paused. He actually had to think. He'd never really asked. She'd been quiet, easy, perfect for the image he wanted. And that was his first mistake. I was a data forensics analyst, Natalie said. For the FBI, I worked white-collar crime, financial records, encrypted accounts. The room went quiet. Roland Fisher gave a short laugh. And that matters because you filed paperwork. Good for you. I didn't file. Paperwork, Natalie said. Her voice stayed calm. I found things people wanted buried, digital trails, hidden transfers, files people thought were gone. For 10 years I played the role Marcus needed, the quiet wife. I let him believe I didn't understand his business. I let him believe I was too busy with school runs and meetings to notice when he changed passwords. She looked straight at Marcus. But I have a photographic memory, and I back everything up. Marcus's smile slipped. Just for a second. But it slipped. Natalie reached into her dress pocket and pulled out a small black USB drive. I submitted this to the court this morning, sealed, marked for review in case of perjury. Judge Brennan raised her eyebrows and took the envelope from the bailiff. She opened it and scanned the documents inside. You let him testify, the judge said. You let him deny offshore accounts under oath. I needed him to lie, Natalie said. On record, if I'd shown this earlier, he would have settled. Or spun it. Now he can't. Marcus leaned toward Roland, whispering sharply. What's on that drive? Roland didn't answer right away. Sweat had started to form along his hairline. You said she had nothing. Judge Brennan plugged the drive into her laptop. The courtroom went completely still. She clicked through files. Her expression changed fast. Mr. Reed, she said slowly, these records show 3 accounts under Helix Holdings LLC in the Cayman Islands. $68 million total. The listed beneficiary is Ms. Sloane Harper. The room exploded. People whispered. Cameras clicked. Sloane stood up in the back, shaking. I didn't know. He told me it was paperwork. I thought it was for the wedding. Sit down, Judge Brennan snapped. Then she looked at Marcus. You claimed your liquid assets were minimal. This looks like perjury. Marcus's expression hardened. Helix Holdings is corporate money. Research investments. Is it? Natalie said. Because there's a folder labeled Wire Transfers. $2.3 million moved into his personal account last year. Receipts are included. A Tesla, a house in Aspen, and an engagement ring from Cartier that cost more than what he's offering me in support. Roland whispered urgently to Marcus, but Marcus waved him off. Judge Brennan removed her glasses. I'm inclined to freeze all accounts pending an audit, but first, one more question. Natalie gripped the table. This was the moment. Your son Caleb was hospitalized on March 8th, the judge said. The report says he fell down the stairs while with the nanny. Mr. Reed, were you home that night? Marcus froze. Were you home? The judge repeated. I was at a board dinner, Marcus said quickly. The Ritz-Carlton. It was public. The dinner ended at 8:30, Judge Brennan said, checking papers. Caleb was admitted at 9:47. That's over an hour unaccounted for. Where were you? Marcus looked at Roland. Roland stared at the floor. I might have stopped somewhere, Marcus said. I don't remember. Natalie stood again, calm, precise. Your Honor, I have more evidence. Amy stared at her. This wasn't in their prep. There wasn't supposed to be more. Judge Brennan nodded. Proceed. Natalie pulled out another USB drive, this one with a red label. This contains audio from the nanny cam system, March 8th, 9:15 to 9:50. The hallway camera recorded sound. Mr. Reed didn't know that. That recording is illegal, Roland interrupted. Massachusetts is one-party consent, Judge Brennan said. And this involves a minor. Play it. The speakers crackled. A door slammed. Marcus's voice, slurred and angry. Where the hell is she? Sloane was supposed to be here. A child's voice. Small. Scared. Daddy, you're scaring me. Move. But, Daddy! There was a sharp sound, a scream. Then silence. Then Sloane's voice came through the speakers, panicked, shaking. Marcus! Oh my God, he's not moving! Look at his arm! We have to call 911! Marcus's voice followed. Clear now. Cold. Don't call anyone. Call the nanny. Tell Maria if she doesn't say he fell down the stairs, she'll never work in this city again. Tell her I'll have her deported. Fix this, Sloane. I need to get to that dinner. I need the alibi. But he needs a hospital. Then take him, but get the story straight first. The recording stopped. No one spoke. The silence sat heavy in the room. Sloane was crying in the back row. Marcus gripped the stand like it was the only thing holding him up. Judge Brennan closed her laptop. She removed her glasses and looked at Marcus, not as a judge, but as a human being who had seen enough. Mr. Reed, she said, her voice tight. I've heard enough. Marcus snapped. This is fake. She altered it. It's AI. Deep fake. I demand a forensic review. Bailiff, Judge Brennan said calmly. Arrest Mr. Reed for child endangerment, perjury, and witness tampering. Bail is denied. Officers stepped forward. The sound of handcuffs cut through Marcus's shouting. You can't do this, he yelled. I employ thousands of people. I know senators. I can, the judge said. And I am. Mr. Fisher, your client is finished. Roland Fisher was already packing his bag. He didn't look surprised, just defeated. The officers reached Marcus. One grabbed his arm. Hands behind your back. Don't touch me, Marcus snapped. I'll take your badge. That won't help, the officer said evenly, locking the cuffs. And threats won't either. Add contempt of court, Judge Brennan said. As Marcus was led away, he passed Natalie. He leaned close, his voice low and shaking. You think you've won? I'll destroy you. I'll make... Sure you get nothing. I'll kill you. The gavel slammed down. Let the record show the defendant issued a death threat in open court. All bail is permanently denied. Remand immediately. The doors closed behind Marcus as he kept shouting. The room erupted. Reporters yelled. Cameras flashed. Judge Brennan struck the gavel again. Custody is awarded solely to Natalie Reed. Mr. Reed's parental rights are suspended pending investigation. No visitation. Amy grabbed Natalie's arm, shaking. All accounts tied to Mr. Reed and Helix Holdings are frozen, the judge continued. Ms. Chen, file for emergency spousal support. I'll sign it today. Thank you, Amy said, barely holding it together. Judge Brennan looked at Natalie. What you did was risky. If this had gone wrong, you would have lost everything. I know, Natalie said, but I knew he wouldn't settle. I knew he'd lie. He always does. The judge nodded. Court is adjourned. Natalie packed her things and walked down the aisle. The press rushed her at the doors. Did he push your son? How much money was hidden? How long were you planning this? Natalie stopped on the courthouse steps. Rain fell steadily. She put on sunglasses and looked into the nearest camera. My name is Natalie Reed. I have nothing further to say. The evidence speaks for itself. She walked away. The crowd parted. 48 hours later, Marcus Reed posted bail. Not for the assault charges. Those kept him locked up, but for perjury, through an emergency appeal. $10 million. He paid it fast, selling crypto Natalie hadn't found yet. He returned to his penthouse Thursday night. The elevator opened into darkness. Sloane, he called. Nothing. He walked inside, dropped his keys on the counter. I told you I'd be home today. I've been eating jail food for 2 days. No answer. There was silence. Marcus climbed the glass stairs to the bedroom. The door was open. He stepped inside and stopped. The room was empty, closets open, no clothes, no shoes. The vanity cleared out. The wall safe stood open, completely bare. On the bed was a single sheet of paper. He picked it up with shaking hands. Sloane's handwriting, big, round letters. Marcus, I saw the news. They're saying you could get 10 years for child abuse. I can't be a prison wife. It's not good for my brand. The FBI came by yesterday. They asked about Helix Holdings. I told them everything. About the papers you made me sign. About the Zurich accounts, too. I made a deal. I have immunity. Don't look for me. I'm in Monaco. S. Marcus crushed the note in his fist. He screamed. Loud, uncontrolled. He grabbed the lamp from the nightstand and threw it. It shattered against the wall. Traitor! He shouted at the empty room. Useless traitor! He paced, trying to breathe, trying to think. Sloane was gone. Fine, she was replaceable. What mattered was the company. Titan Biomed. As long as he controlled Neuroregan, the Alzheimer's drug launching next quarter, he was still untouchable. The board wouldn't remove him. He was the company. He rushed to his office and turned on his computer, typed his password. Access denied. He tried again. Access denied. What? He grabbed his phone and called Gary in IT. Why am I locked out? A pause. Sir, your credentials were revoked this morning. By who? By the acting chairwoman. Marcus went cold. What chairwoman? Martin Priest is the chair. He resigned yesterday. The majority shareholder called an emergency vote. She appointed herself. She, Marcus whispered. The system only shows the holding company, EK Holdings. EK, Elizabeth Catherine. Natalie. The phone slipped from his hand. That was impossible. He owned 55% of Titan Biomed. He'd checked the numbers endlessly, unless 10 years ago, seed funding, an anonymous investor, $40 million through a blind trust in Singapore. He'd never asked questions. He'd just taken the money. He tore through his filing cabinet until he found the original paperwork. Investor, the Phoenix Trust, Singapore. He searched public records. The page loaded. Trustee, Natalie Elizabeth Catherine Reed. Beneficiaries, Emma Reed, Caleb Reed. Marcus sat back, stunned. She'd funded him. Back when they were dating. Back when he thought she had nothing. Back when he thought he held the power. Her father. He remembered now. A tech genius. Patents. Algorithms. Everyone said he'd died broke. He hadn't. Natalie inherited everything. She invested it in him. Bought 40% before they were even married. And with the shares from the divorce, she now owned 55. She owned the company. She owned him. The phone rang, the landline. Almost no one had that number. Hello, he said. Hello, Marcus. Natalie's voice was calm. You were the investor, he said. I believed in the science, she replied. I thought it could help people. I didn't realize the man running it was the problem. You can't do this. I built Titan. The shareholders, they voted this morning, Natalie said. Unanimous. You were removed for cause. The stock went up. I'll sue you. You hid assets. I hid nothing. The trust was always public. You just never looked. I'll come for you, Marcus said. You think this is over? Come, Natalie said. I'll be sitting in your chair. The line went dead. 3 days later, FBI agents were all over Titan Biomed headquarters at 7 a.m. They seized servers, hard drives, filing cabinets, everything. Employees stood in the lobby, watching their workplace get dismantled box by box. What the agents found was incriminating. Falsified clinical trial data for Neuroregan, making the drug appear more effective than it was. Buried adverse event reports showing 3 trial patients had died from cardiac complications. Emails from Marcus ordering researchers to manipulate results or lose their jobs. Wire transfers totaling $800,000 sent to an FDA consultant who had fast-tracked approval. Marcus was arrested again. This time for securities fraud, wire fraud, bribery of federal officials, and reckless endangerment of trial participants. The trial 6 months later was swift and unforgiving. Prosecutors presented overwhelming evidence, much of it provided by Natalie through her company Access. Marcus's defense claimed he was trying to save lives, that the ends justified the means. The jury didn't buy it. They deliberated for 4 hours, but he was found guilty on all counts. Then he was sentenced 18 years in federal prison, $95 million in fines and restitution. 1 year after the courtroom explosion that ended her marriage, Natalie stood in the grand ballroom of the Four Seasons Hotel in downtown Boston. Crystal chandeliers reflected the light over 800 guests, all dressed for the occasion, all there because Natalie Reed had invited them. The Reed Foundation for Domestic Advocacy had become the most sought-after event of the season. Natalie wore a deep sapphire gown. Her hair fell loosely over her shoulders. She looked radiant, free. Emma and Caleb stood beside her, smiling. Caleb's arm had healed completely. He no longer startled when doors opened suddenly. Emma had returned to playing the violin, something she'd abandoned during the hardest years of the marriage. As the lights dimmed, Natalie stepped up to the podium. "Thank you all for coming tonight," she began, calm and steady. "A year ago, I sat in a courtroom and let the world believe I was weak. I let a powerful man lie about me. I let his lawyers call me unstable, unfit, broken. I stayed silent through 3 days of character assassination. People asked why I didn't fight back, why I didn't defend myself." She paused. "I stayed quiet because I was listening. I was gathering evidence. I was building a case. In our society, the loudest voice often gets believed. The bully, the charming liar, the one with money and influence. We're taught to fear their noise." She leaned forward slightly. "But silence isn't always weakness. Sometimes it's preparation. Sometimes it's restraint. I stayed quiet until the right moment, until the one question that forced the truth into the open." The room was completely still. This foundation exists for anyone trapped by a powerful voice. We provide legal aid, financial support, therapy, and most importantly, we teach people how to document everything, because the truth doesn't need volume. It needs evidence and timing. The applause began and quickly filled the room. A standing ovation. Natalie accepted it not for herself, but for everyone who had ever been told to stay quiet and accept less. Later that night, after the gala ended, Natalie stood on the balcony overlooking Boston Harbor. City lights reflected across the water. Her phone buzzed. A message from Dr. Santos, the researcher she'd promoted after restructuring Titan. "Natalie, the FDA approved NeuroRegan today. Full approval. Publishing the real safety data helped. Production starts Monday. This will change lives. Thank you." Natalie stared at the message, tears forming. This was the victory that mattered. Not revenge, not money. The science worked, and now it would help people the way it was meant to. She looked out at the city. Somewhere in a federal prison, Marcus Reed was likely awake, staring at a concrete ceiling, finally understanding what he'd lost. She didn't feel sorry for him. She felt nothing. Her phone buzzed again. "Mom, are you still outside? Caleb wants to show you the drawing he made at school. He drew our family, you, me, him, and Auntie Amy. He says you're a superhero." Natalie smiled and wiped her eyes. "Coming right now, sweetheart." She took one last look at the city and turned back inside, toward the warmth, the light, and the life she'd fought to build. Natalie Reed proved that the most dangerous person in any room isn't the one making threats. It's the one quietly taking notes, documenting everything, and waiting for the right moment to let the truth speak. What do you think? Could you have stayed that quiet for that long? Would you have had the patience to let someone destroy themselves? Share your thoughts in the comments. If this story moved you, hit the like button. It helps more than you know. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next story.